Now Taxes is 100% free when you file in the TurboTax app if you didn't file with us last year.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, just do your own taxes in the app by 2/18.
What if I have lots of forms?
All good, all 100% free.
What if I had 3 jobs?
Still 100% free.
What if I once saw Bigfoot?
That has nothing to do with taxes, so still 100% free.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Now this is Taxes. See if you qualify in the TurboTax app. Excludes TurboTax Live, must start and file in app by 2/18.
This is Milton Justice, and welcome to I Don't Need an Acting Class. One of the things that I'm kind of noticing that keeps cropping up with a lot of you is an obligation to perform. And I urge you to dump it. The issue here is, and it's weird. I mean, I find that, as an example, Walker was too afraid that it was going to look like that he'd studied musical theater at NYU, and so his performance was to go totally the opposite direction, and it sounded like he was at a funeral. And so this is all very, very iffy stuff, because what we're trying very hard, I'm trying very hard not to give you an effect to play. I'm trying very hard to avoid the vocabulary where I say to you, don't play it so big, or don't play it so small, or don't be so subtle. And so the problem with that is if I give you a note like that, you're going to either overcompensate, but at any rate, it's going to force you into a performance. And one of the issues is that, as I've said many times, directors do that all the time. Directors all the time tell you how to play something. And so that's where you have to be careful. That's where you have to be smart as an actor. The one that they used several years ago, which I thought was always interesting, and directors were always saying to actors, it just needs more of an edge. And so one wonders, how do you play an edge? And Sigourney Weaver told me, I ran into her at the gym. I know, back when I went to the gym, which is also amusing. But at any rate, I ran into her, and she'd done this really weird movie called Snow White. And so I told her how good she was in it. And she said, oh, really? You're the only friend I had that has seen it. And she said he was a very, very weird director. He would give us directions like, okay, do it again, do it the same way, but this time massage it a little. And she said, I kept thinking to myself, what is it that he wants me to do? Feel my breath? I mean, it's like what? So at any rate, you have to be very, very clear that you're trying to find a clarity of a process that won't give you a performance. So what we're trying to do all the time is get into depth. We are trying to dig down and find something that elevates what we're talking about. At the moment, we're building I Love the Theater. So what you want to do is to find something that brings it to life, that, in a sense, turns the dial on being just simply accurate, just simply reporting. And that's what you want to get to. Another discussion that I had with Kareem the other day was television scripts. If you turn the dial on badly written scripts that are mostly plot-oriented, what you end up doing is finding something to hold on to that gives it a little bit more than anybody else. It gives you something, you dig in, you turn the dial on it so that it doesn't just become reporting. It doesn't just become functional, that there's actually a character there. You don't see it a lot. So 2 things. Try not to feel an obligation to perform, but rather dig slightly deeper. I was working with Raphael from Sweden, and we were just working on the chair in the theater. And so I said, if you're describing the chair in the theater, the choice is yours in a piece like this. The choice is yours. You can either build this old chair that has like almost rotten arms of the chair. In fact, you have to be very, very careful if you start to move the chair, the arm of the chair, that it doesn't fall off, and the seats are old and threadbare, and you can almost see the stuff. And I said, all right, so you can go that direction, or you can go the direction of the seats are plush red velvet, and the arms are this dark, rich mahogany. And on each arm is in other words, the choices are yours, but it turns the dial on. I'm sitting in the theater seat. You see, all of these things are really small things that we can do, but it turns the dial on them. Stella Adler used to have an exercise for us where she said, come in with 5 reds, 5 whites, and 5 blues. And and put it on an object. And so what she was trying to get us to do was to understand that there is a difference between a sleek red Mercedes and a dirty red piece of cloth. In other words, these are all like little things we can do where we find a little bit more detail. We find a slightly more detail. And in finding this detail, it brings it to life for us. Look, all of our choices are there to bring us to life. The entire Stanislavski system is there to access your creativity. And a lot of it is just stuff that we're trying to find for ourselves. We're trying to find ways to access it. Kareem came up with a thing in Building the Past where he said, when I talk about my own past, I think of it as a memory bank. And he said, so when I'm working on a character, I'm just trying to fill the memory bank. And I think that's a very good word. It's like I'm trying to fill all of these things that are part of a past, all of these pieces of information that are part of my past that bring me to life, that make me alive. If you will start the habit, we used to do this in script and in scene study. If you will start the habit when you make a choice, after you've made the choice, think to yourself, and think of another choice. And think of another choice. In other words, you're shopping for choices. And you don't have to do this forever in your life but what it will allow you to do is you'll do it and that becomes automatic. It's almost like you're auditioning choices. And what you're looking for is a choice that kicks ass. I think watching all of these actors in these short films that I've been looking at, I just don't think anybody made a choice. They thought they knew how to play it. The dialogue said something, and so they thought they knew how to play it. And so that became what they did. I don't know what they did. I don't know where they studied. I don't know where all this bad training is coming from. Anyway.
Hi, everybody. It's Walker Vreeland. I'm the producer of I Don't Need an Acting Class with Milton Justice. Director of online media is Evan Solers, and music is provided by David DeJuice. If you have a question or comment you'd like Milton to address on an upcoming episode, email us at questionsformilton@gmail.com. Again, that's questionsformilton@gmail.com. And if you like the podcast, please subscribe and leave a review. Thanks so much for listening.